Noon, everybody. Yeah, we're just past the noon hour. Look at these shocks of corn here with a nice fall display here. We got mums and pumpkins here. This is Michigan Plaza. Yeah, we're 66 degrees sunshine. We got a little breeze here. It might be windy, so I know people will be howling, oh, we can't hear you because of the wind. That's okay. There's the Wrigley building, Michigan Avenue. There's the Hazel Johnson mural there on the Prudential one. The Prudential 2 is the taller one here. Yeah, we'll head over to the Bean. We haven't seen the Bean since last week because we covered the Columbus Day parade activities there yesterday. We'll head into the loop here, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. How you doing here? We'll go past Nutella. Hey, you can get your name on the jar there. Yeah, it's a little line here. I'm sure the line was longer yesterday. There were still a lot of people in from the marathon. But hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Chicago, Michigan Avenue. Hopefully we're streaming okay here. Let me make sure I got the, hold on a second here. Let me make sure I got the Wi-Fi off there. There we go. Hey, got babies on Michigan Avenue. Stan's Donuts, Bubblicious, Lids. Yeah, we'll go past this new Cinnabon and the Auntie Anne's pretzels. We got the Rainbow Cone, Garrett's Popcorn. We got all the touristy sweet treats and fun stuff here as we head towards Millennium Park. Yeah, let's check out the Bean here, sunshine. RGR, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being on here, the Lunch Bunch. I just felt a drip, but it's because we're going by. They used to call this building the Doral. Now they call it Michigan Plaza. Everything's been rebranded. Or Millennium Plaza. Now they call it Millennium Plaza. Millennium Park. Let's see, we're right here. Hey, look at this giant bus. Tea around town. I guess tea treats. Look, it's gonna lean over there. I guess everybody's drinking tea on the bus. Look, they got like tables. There's like tables on the second level there. But here here we go. We're at Wacker in Michigan. No, excuse me, Randolph in Michigan. Randolph in Michigan. I got Wacker on the brain there. We crossed Wacker this morning. There's the Estaloca. It's crazy. It's a restaurant. It's a crazy restaurant there. That's Estaloca. Hey, Wes, how you doing there? Kilmer. Can you believe we had 70,000 people watching this morning? I was shocked. I don't know what happened. It's like YouTube flipped a switch Sunday. I think it was just me filming the marathon and the Columbus Day parade. Somehow we got up into this upper tier where we're getting 60, 70,000 people watching on a live stream there, and people tuned in to see the Columbus Day parade activities there yesterday, the Chicago Marathon. But I was just walking home from work last night filming Halloween decorations. I don't know. I guess people really like the Halloween decorations, which are great. Here's Michigan Avenue. But we'll take it. But it also pushes my content to people that may not necessarily want to see it, and they want to see other things about Chicago, so they let us hear about it. Cracks me up. But hey, we'll head over to the Great Bean of Chicago. Son, how you doing there? Where am I from? I grew up in Indiana. I grew up in the country of Indiana. I get that question a lot. I moved to Chicago in 1999, but I did live in Cincinnati when I went to college there. I lived in the city of Cincinnati before I moved to Chicago. Over half my life I've lived in Chicago, but no, I'm not a native Chicagoan. You can kick me out. I know all the Chicago gatekeepers. They don't want anybody that they don't want nobody that nobody sent. They don't want anybody else coming here driving the prices up. It was funny in 2023. Everybody was like, everybody's leaving Chicago because horrible Democratic leadership and the pandemic, and there's no jobs and crime's horrible. Now people are afraid too many people are going to move to Chicago. I'm like, what's different? To me, the city's just the same as it was in 2022 as it is in 2025. We still have Democratic leadership. Oh my God. I like these. Like, I get people, they're like, I watched your content for years and all of a sudden you're getting political and I can't stand to watch you anymore. I'm like, fine, block my channel. You can watch something else. No hard feelings. I'm the same person I always was. And if you don't like me now, you probably never liked me from the beginning. It was all an illusion. He seemed like such a nice guy, but then I found out he was a liberal. Now I hate his guts. Yeah, good. So, thanks for being honest. Here's the great bean of Chicago. And I'm not even really a true liberal. I fault the Democrats. I don't feel welcome in the Democratic Party either. Look at that. So here I am, a guy that leans to the left, kind of a hippie socialist, and I don't even feel welcome in the Democratic Party. So if I don't feel welcome, I understand how most of the other Americans don't feel welcome in the illusion of the big tent. But I don't feel welcome in Trump's party either. I'm certainly not MAGA, and I really do not like some of the things coming out of the administration here. So you're not going to be able to win me over to your side if you're on the side of the current president. So nice, thanks for trying. We should just give up and live in our own realities. Here, great bean of Chicago. Hey, look at this. We got Tuesday, October the 14th, 2025. We got 66 degrees here. We're 12:07 in the PM here. We're on our lunch break from work. I'm fortunate I work, my office, I work for an architecture and engineering firm, is really near here. So my lunch break for years, I've been coming over here now in the age of live streaming. I share the wealth here, let everybody see what's going on, different times of the year, different seasons. We even see the beam when it's raining, when it's snowing, when it's closed, when it's open. Yeah, see people taking, got the selfie tripods, and yeah, everybody's taking a picture here in front of the great bean of Chicago, jumping up and down. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, YouTube. I'd rather be YouTube famous than TikTok famous, because I can make more money off of YouTube. Tell that to TikTok. TikTok drove me away, and they don't even pay you money, and then they still want you to come back. There, we'll touch the bean here. Look, she's putting on the lip gloss there. There you go. That's how you do it. See, the great bean of Chicago. How you doing? See, everybody wants me to flick the bean. I don't flick on it, I knock on it. Here, we'll get out of the way. Everybody's taking pictures. Hey, you got the tiger bike here. Having your lunch here. Look at the old Montgomery Wards there, the Pittsfield building. Yeah, we'll head into the loop there. We'll get to the Riverwalk. But here, the great bean of Chicago. It's looking nice. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. How you doing here? Welcome to Chicago, Millennium Park. Anish Kapoor is the artist there. Won the competition. Hey, look at these beautiful flowers. We still got beautiful flowers here. Green trees. Fall's trying to take hold, but fall comes on late in Chicago because the lake keeps us warm. Usually warmer this time of the year. Yeah, Phil, how you doing there? Kilmer's son, Dolores, West, RGR. Thanks, everybody. Shauna, thanks for being on there. Yeah, the lunch bunch. Dolores, part of the lunch bunch there. Anthony, I'm sure Anita's on there. RGR. Tea Lime Tea Time. Coming to Chicago next week there. Yeah, Phil Goodyear. Northern California. Yeah, Northern California. Get some wine there. Yeah, you got the Emerald Triangle and the Napa Valley there. We got several things in Northern California that we can appreciate, that amazing climate for those amazing plants that grow there. So here's the Crown Fountain. I'm amazed the water's still on. I guess technically you could still run through the water. That's the faces that spit out the water. We'll skip that and we'll head through the loop here and see what's shaking here. Hey, look at the flowers. So they set up the Christmas tree on the one on the other side. At least that's what they did last year. They could set one up this here, but they don't usually. And I don't even want to think about it. Probably a month and a half from now, we'll be doing the countdown for the Christmas tree. And we're October. Yeah, so the end of November is when they turn on the Christmas tree. So we're a little over a month away from all that. But here's Michigan Avenue. It still feels like summer. I'm serious. It feels, you know, they say they're wearing jackets at 66 degrees, but in the sun, it's not too bad. Hey, Lambie T's tuning in there. Fernando, we're in Chicago. This is Michigan Avenue. I'm on my lunch break here, so we're going to head through Loop of Chicago. Yesterday we filmed the Columbus Day Parade. I know it was Indigenous Peoples Day yesterday, and it was Canadian Thanksgiving. So hope all our Canadian friends there had a good Thanksgiving. And we're waiting across the street here. So yeah, we got the light here. So we'll cross here at Michigan Avenue. That's looking south. The Art Institute of Chicago. We'll head into the Loop. There's the entrance to the Grant Park garage there. And once we get beyond here, you can see all the way up to the Wrigley building. Looking up Michigan Avenue, there it is. There's looking north, Cultural Center there, the Smurfit Stone building, the diamond-shaped building. But we've been, on the walks home, we check out Halloween decorations. There was some skeletons on the state, but I think they removed them. These people were vandalizing them. Hey, congratulations to the Bears. The Bears beat the Washington Commanders last night there on Monday Night Football. It was a close game, came down to the last field goal. Bears made it, won by 1 point there, 25-24, the Washington Commanders. The Bears are now 3-2 on the season, have a winning record. And we wish we want some of those games back. We could have won at the beginning of the season. That would make a lot of difference. But there's the Chicago Athletic Association Hotel. We got reruns of that. You just joined. We're in Chicago. We're in the Loop. We're on Madison Street. Madison Street, 67 East Madison. There's the Cantina Paisanos Pizza. We saw the Columbus Day Parade there. Get you Chicago-style pizza. Paisanos and other places here. The Diamond Center, we'll go by the Jewelers Center. Hey, architecture. So there's a lot of stuff coming up this weekend. There's October the 18th, there's the No Kings protest in Grant Park. We saw healthcare should be free. I posted that to promote it. We're going to have a parade on State Street for Halloween. That's on the 18th. There's the Chicago open houses this weekend, so they open up a lot of the buildings. And I'm going to be really busy this weekend because there's going to be pressure to film all this stuff, and I want to cover it. I might work from home Thursday and Friday just so I don't exhaust myself trying to cover all this stuff. Here, the Chicago's landmark Diamond Center here. New York Jewelers here. This is the Jewelers Center. This is Jewelers Row here on Wabash Street. We're underneath the elevated tracks here. Hey, they got some window washers up there on the scaffolding. We'll cross underneath Washington and Wabash here. This is Wabash. Here's Wabash looking north here. Wabash looking south. Under the elevated train tracks here. Wabash is such an amazing street. Look at this amazing density of the Loop here. Madison and Wabash. Yeah, let's come together right now. Over me. So hey, I always like walking past the Carson Prairie Scott here, the beautiful Louis Sullivan cast iron, wrought iron. We're not to it yet. There's this building here, which look at that detailing over the door. They got, look at that, number 23, just like Michael Jordan there. Just people coming out of the alley here. Look how tight the truck is. Let's get across before this truck pulls out. Look how tight that is coming out of that alley. That's amazing. That's great. And here's the, here it is, the Carson Prairie Scott. This is the amazing cast iron, wrought iron ornamentation of Louis Sullivan's masterpiece here, the Sullivan Center. Now it's the Gothic Target. And the reason it's called the Gothic Target is Carson Prairie Scott, when it wasn't built for Carson Prairie Scott, it was built for another retailer, and then Selfridge brought it and then he sold it. They called it Carson Prairie Scott, leased it out for almost 100 years here in Chicago. And there's the entrance. You see how Louis Sullivan, he has his initials there, Louis A. Sullivan. It looks like a 4, but it's reversed here. Look at this. Look at that amazing ornamentation. Here, let's cross the street so we can show you the whole building. The Chicago-style windows, the Chicago-style architecture, Louis Sullivan, who influenced Frank Lloyd Wright to get these big, clear-story windows, perfect for window displays, horrible for smash and grabs. And they couldn't imagine somebody be willing to wreck a car into this building to steal merchandise, but I'm sure it's possible. There's the Sullivan Center there. There's the train going across here. So here we'll head over, we'll go past the Zumiez here. Yeah, let's cross the street here so we show you this Sullivan Center here from the corner. Yeah, it's huge inside that Target. It's I saw Ken streaming in there. She goes shopping there. There's a grocery store in the back, and there's, you know, pretty much everything you can find at a big box Target. Target just used the bottom 2 floors. The top is all offices. Carson Prairie Scott had it. They used all the floors, just like Marshall Fields, which is now the Macy's. Here's the Chicago building, and the Reliance building is a block north there. Here's the Chase building. We got some wind here. Loop of Chicago. Welcome to the Windy City. And this Walgreens used to be a Sears. It used to be the Sears there on the corner department store, but didn't make it past the Great Recession. Who remembers the Great Recession? America's so great, even our depressions and recessions are great. The Great Depression and the Great Recession. Hey, you get Dearborn and State. A dragon on top of some building. The clouds, yeah, I don't know what that was. Yeah, Tartarian. Spread your conspiracy theories. Yeah, it was all some mysterious ancient civilization. People would rather believe in that than what really happened. You create a fascinating conspiracy theory, just like Ancient Aliens, people will watch. And yeah, how you doing? So here's this plaza here. They wanted to build the tallest building in the United States here, but it didn't go through. That was in 2007. And here we're at Madison, Dearborn. They got this plaza here. 1 South Dearborn, Sidley. I don't even know what they do. But there's looking up Dearborn Street. Daily Plaza's that way. Yeah, let's cruise by Daily Plaza. I don't think there's anything going on today. I checked the calendar. Maybe we'll skip Daily Plaza. Maybe we'll just keep going this way. But there's the Goodman Theater. There's Dearborn Station that way. If you just joined the Loop of Chicago. Let's head all the way to LaSalle Street. We got 1219, so we got time here. Oh yeah, I got videos from last winter. I stream in the wintertime, being by the lake when it's 0 degrees and you can hear the wind. So you can, of course, if it's 0 degrees and there's wind, of course we're in negative wind chills. I've lived in the city for 26 winters, so winters are harsh and long and dreary and depressing, but strangely the last 3 winters have not been as bad as I used to remember them, and other Chicagoans can attest to that. We feel like we're overdue. We haven't got huge giant snowstorms like we've had in the past, the last several years. We'll get, at least in the city. Of course, Michigan City is getting, they get the lake effect and stuff, but a lot of times it'll be snow in the suburbs, it'll be rain in the city like we're London. I'm not joking, it's very strange. And here we'll head over to Clark Street here. We're Clark and yeah, let's cross the street here. Clark and Madison, the Loop of Chicago here. And this building, you almost don't even notice it because it's pretty tall. If this was in any other city, it would be one of the tallest buildings. But since it's in Chicago, it's just dwarfed by all the other taller buildings. How you doing there? It's saying hello there. This is almost 900 feet tall. There's St. Peter's in the Loop there. There's the church. And look, they got some, what do they got hanging from there? They got some, that's interesting. They got some ribbons hanging from the top there. That's interesting. St. Peter's in the Loop Church. Sometimes you can see this when the sun rises and sets, and it makes it dramatic because this is an east-west street, and the light will strike that inverted negative space behind the cross, and it'll just be shining light on the cross. On my original count, I had a really good view of it, but TikTok deleted it. TikTok deleted a video showing this with the sun hitting it around Easter. Isn't that amazing? So hey, TikTok deserves to go to hell for deleting that video. I agree. Here, let's I wanted to cross the street here, but I think we'll there's an amazing, look how tall this is here. I'll stand behind this. Look how this mid-block goes up taller here. This is LaSalle Street here, and we'll get the nice view to the Board of Trade here. So they got the clocks here, LaSalle Street. I'll probably stay on the shady side of the street here. We got 1222 LaSalle Street. Here we go. Here's the historic financial heart of Chicago. We got 1222 Chicago Title Insurance Company. See how they added all the floors here, Northern Trust. But there's the Board of Trade, LaSalle Street. This is the financial heart of Chicago. Historically, now it's in transition. A lot of these buildings are being converted into housing and hotels, like the Residence Inn by Marriott here. There's a lot of commercial space for lease on the ground floor because people that are wealthy enough to make their living off the Board of Trade, the Merc and the Chicago Board of Trade, no longer have to work in the pits. It's all electronic. They can work from their beach chair there in Bora Bora and trade 24/7 on automated AI-driven exchanges. There, Northern Trust, high-frequency trading. But that Chicago Board of Trade, if you watch the old Ferris Bueller's Day Off, they show the trading floor with all the multicolored blazers, people with their numbers, the open outcry, the call. You can see like that movie Trading Spaces there with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. They showed what it looked like in Philadelphia. Philadelphia had an exchange similar to Chicago's Board of Trade here. So here's LaSalle Street looking north. Yeah, let's head down towards the Board of Trade here. Yeah, work late at night there, Walker. How you doing there? Yeah. Yeah, I guess some of the old traders would do the vodka and oysters there. You go to the Sears bar at the bottom of Board of Trade. Some of these places have amazingly nice restaurants as well. Oop, here's at the top, the Stock Exchange building over Ida B. Wells, which used to be Congress, the Eisenhower there. That used to have an amazing restaurant there. I don't know if it's still there. Here, we'll cross the street here. This is LaSalle and Monroe. CIBC, BMO, lots of banks. Italian Village is that way. This is LaSalle Street. You've seen the Batman movies, The Untouchables, Public Enemies, Road to Perdition. So many movies have used this because, you know, you just change the cars. You feel like you're in 1929, right before the crash, and that's when that building was built. This building harkens back to the Masonic skyscraper there on State and Randolph, which they tore that down, but they built this. This is a bank building. I think it's U.S. Bank now, but it wasn't always U.S. Bank. It was something else here. We'll head down to Adams. We'll cut over towards the Sears Tower here. 1225. Yeah, who's asking anybody to go back to visit? I live here. I don't expect anybody to visit. Spend your money here. Everybody thinks everything's a promotion. You know, people tune in because this city's interesting, whether you want to come here or not. You know, cities are interesting for multiple reasons. A lot of culture, a lot of controversial things happen here. So people are going to naturally tune in. Whether they like it or not, it's going to cause a reaction. America has a love-hate relationship with their cities. And I argue, how can we have a great nation if we don't have great cities? And if half the country hates their cities, what's so great about America then? Because cities are part of America. All countries and nations deserve cities. And you have to accept that cities, politics are different than the rest of the country. And I don't know why people would expect them to be the same. We face a whole different set of issues in cities that you don't face where you're at. I'm sure where you're at, you might not have a transit system that requires public funding. You might not have a huge migrant population that was shipped to you from Texas, you know. And then we find it ironic that the National Guard says, "Oh, we'll help you out." I'm like, thanks a lot for your help there. Here's so the left of the Rookery Building, this is Berman Route, Board of Trade. There's the Federal Reserve, City National Bank and Trust. Look at all these buildings. These buildings are amazing on the inside. You can go in the lobbies. We've gone inside that building. A lot of gold around the elevators. Same with these. Chicago Board of Trade here. So here, let's head over to the Sears Tower here. Actually, if I cross the street, we'll get a better view for it. I'm on the wrong side of the street, but we'll check out there. Here's the Rookery. You see this in What Women Want. And you go on the inside. We got many videos on the inside. Frank Lloyd Wright restored that lobby there. And the Rookery building, 1886, 1888, Burnham Route. The outside walls are low bearing. The inside are steel frame construction, from what I understand. I'm not for sure about that. They got some really thick walls there on the outside. This is LaSalle Bank building. This is where the Chicago Home Insurance Company used to be. This is the William LeBaron Jenney. The first skyscraper, the 10-story skyscraper, was here. They tore it down to build LaSalle Bank building, which you can't even see the full height of it. They built this around 1930. But there's the Sears Tower. Some people call it the Willis. I call it the Sears. Most people, but certain vintage call it the historical name, the name of the company that built it, Sears Roebuck Company. There's the Sears Tower here, Chicago, Illinois, 1,400 feet, over 400 meters tall. We're on Adams Street, heading towards Wells from LaSalle. That's a pretty cool building there. Oh, so many tea time. That's what makes my job easy. There's so much historic architecture all throughout this city, and that's what we do here, among other things. Filming people in the city. Cities are made up of people, so I can't just film the buildings. The city would be pretty boring without people, and sometimes you see what it looks like in wintertime when nobody's on the street, or even in the summer. There we go. There's the Sears Tower there, Chicago, Illinois. Hey, look at that. Look how nice. You go to the 103rd floor. I'm not going to do it today. I'm on my lunch break. But we went to the John Hancock observation, which is on the 94th floor. Hey, there's the 311 South Wacker Sears Tower. We're at Wells Street and Adams, loop of Chicago. There's Wells Street. Wells Street has the elevated trains there. That's the street that's looking back towards this is Route 66. This is Adams Street, Route 66 starts at the Art Institute of Chicago. Runs all the way through here. Hey, there's Wells Street. Wait to cross here. I like how the sun hits the. Man, here comes a train. Here comes a train there. Back up a little bit. There we go. Here we see it. Here comes a orange line. No, is that a brown line? It's a brown line. It's a brown line heading through the loop there. Heading into that's the Quincy stop on the brown line there. Loop of Chicago. There's the Sears Tower. This is the former AT&T building. Now I don't know what they call it. We walked through the bottom of it. I had to take my phone off the gimbal there. Nelios, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in from Ireland. How you doing there? Patricia. Yeah, Wes. Yeah. Midwestern, those Midwestern girls know how to keep you warm at night, just like the Beach Boys song there. Yeah, but so a lot of the California girls are moving to different areas of the country there, so we wish they all could be California girls, to quote the Beach Boys song there, or women. Here's barbecue, Blackwood barbecue there. Here we're over to Franklin and Adams Street. We're near the Sears Tower here, south west corner of the loop of Chicago. There's the 333 Wacker. I think it just sold for an amazingly low price of like $60 million. That's an amazingly low price for a skyscraper that large with that much square footage. We wonder if it's going to be converted to housing. Here's Franklin Street. You can look all the way up to the Merchandise Mart. Gary, Indiana. Diesel, thanks for tuning in from Gary. Yeah, I've got a TikTok from the Gary, Indiana South Shore station there. It's all the City Hall and that old convention center, and connected to Millennium Station here. And here's the Sears Tower. So that's not the full height. The full height you got to go to these two, one. And here's some of the other buildings here. Nice clouds today. Yeah, let's head over the river here. We got 1231. So now I'm just going to stick by the river the whole way back. We'll go up the plazas above the railroad tracks there, the air rights, and we'll cross Adams Street, we'll cross Wacker, and we'll go to the Chicago River. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll see a bridge lift. I might have to sneak out of work a little early. I've already got a lot of hours in this week from working over the weekend, and we'll have to start earlier because they start earlier coming from the lake towards Chinatown. They reverse and go the other way. There's Adams Street looking towards the Board of Trade, a little bit more on Jackson, and there's the Sears Tower. There's the full height. So this one goes all the way up 1,400 feet. These stop short, and see how it's stacked there. There's the Sears Tower here. Hey, we got the light here. So this Wacker Drive, Adams and Wacker. Here's the Sears Tower. Do you see how wide Wacker Drive is? There's the Sears Tower. 110 stories tall there, over 1,400 feet tall, 400 meters. Observation decks on the 103rd there, the Sears Tower. Mega cities, yeah. Yeah, the map building. The map building's right over here. You're right, Shauna. We saw that from the water taxi. Good call there. You got a good memory there. Yeah, we're the building with the map. You could see it from the riverside. Maybe we'll see it once we get across the river here. I'll point it out. There, 1233 Chicago. We're down by Union Station. There, people having lunch by the river there. That's how you do it. You see how there's Metro trains and there's Amtrak trains down at that level, and there's the building with the map on it. We'll see it better once we get across here. Maybe we'll see some architectural cruise boats, water taxis. They're probably pretty exhausted. They probably were flipping those boats as fast as they possibly could with all the people in town for the marathon. There's the building with the map on it, shining at you, right? And there's the Mercantile Exchange, Union Station, Amtrak. It's a hub of Amtrak for the Midwest there. Metro trains go in there from all areas of the city. And Union Station is the busiest commuter rail station in Chicago. They filmed The Untouchables, the famous baby carriage scene there. We got many reruns of that. There's the Sears Tower. You see how tall it is. This is South Branch Chicago River. These plazas are on top of the railroad air rights here, as are these buildings. Yeah, the Blues Brothers, Tree Rogie. Yeah, Seventh-day Adventist, Cinderella, how you doing there? Yeah, thanks for loving Chicago, nostalgia. Yeah, flooding's always an issue, but you know, this Chicago has a deep tunnel system to help with stormwater management. This river is basically a canal. Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. That's what the Centennial Fountain's about. And you know, it does fluctuate sometimes, though. They have to release water from the lake into it, and it floods the Riverwalk. It usually doesn't last long. Here we're by Riverside Plaza down here. There's the Mercantile Exchange. There's two buildings there. Got pretty pleasant temperatures here, mid-60s. Here, Chicago, Illinois. Thanks for tuning in here. Yeah, Chicago. Yeah. First plane. Kenya, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in from Kenya there. Samuel. Appreciate it. Yeah. So there's the Presidential Towers, Riverside Plaza. We're crossing Canal Street's that way. This is Madison. This is Monroe Street. Monroe Street. We just passed Monroe. And there's the West Loops that way. Hey, we got flowers here by the South Branch Chicago River. Still have yet to see any boats. I get retracting. So this is Chicago, Illinois here. Thanks for tuning in here. We're over by the Chicago River. There's the Madison Street Bridge there. There's the Lyric Opera House. This is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. That's what the CME stands for, the futures market associated with Wall Street and the New York exchanges. But we're in Chicago. There's a good view to the Sears Tower. So see, Chicago, Illinois, Sears Tower, the tallest building in Chicago, has been that way for over 50 years. Yeah, calm afternoon. Yeah, I'm an American and I can't afford it either. All these politicians, including the current one in the White House, they said, oh, prices are going to come down. And we see even gas prices are going up still. But noticeably, the president's supporters are really quiet about inflation. Like, everybody's just hoping no one pays attention to it. As long as that stock market keeps up, the people can web. But if the stock market ever takes a tumble, people will notice it more. They'll start looking at their 401ks and the prices of things and say, I don't know if I can afford to retire. Here's the Accenture Tower, used to be Citicorp. So this is the Ogilvy train station. You can get to it from Riverside Plaza. You can walk through there. We've done that before. This is Riverside Plaza. This used to be Chicago Daily News. So of course we got the Chicago Tribune, the Chicago Sun-Times, but we also had Chicago Daily News, which is no longer a newspaper. It's got consolidated, bought out by the other ones. And there's the Civic Opera building here. But you can still catch the water taxi here, see where they came out. You can go and connect to Ogilvy Metro train station there. You can check to the Chicago water taxi. It's a perfect spot. They got a waiting room down there to see if the water taxi, there it is, there's the water taxi. So you can go right down there, get on this water taxi. This one will either go to Chinatown or it'll go to Wrigley Building, since it's a yellow Wendella. We got reruns, we took it. We went down to Chinatown a couple weekends ago and checked out the Moon Festival. Here at Riverside Plaza, let's get this boat going by. Hey, there it is. There's Chicago's First Lady. Gas prices are down in Hazlet, Michigan. Well, thanks, Pete. Thanks for the good information there. That's good. I'm glad at least something's going down. I want prices to come down, but, you know, housing prices in this city, we hear it every day in the comments. People are like, I would love to live in Chicago, but I can't afford it. And you can blame it on our Democratic mayor, but we exist within the whole nation. So it's not, you know, the whole nation affects us just like it affects you. Nothing's in a vacuum. Chicago can't be all bad and America all good. Chicago's part of America. So if Chicago's bad, then part of America's bad. And I don't understand why people are celebrating that. Here's, we see in the comments all the time, there's Boeing, Riverside Plaza. Look at that, look up there, they got there's there. Again, this whole building's built on railroad air rights above the railroad tracks. And same with this, the Boeing, that's Wolf Point there. There's no railroad tracks on that side because that's the loop. The railroad's got as close as they could possibly get to the river, literally touching the river on the west, south, and north sides of the loop here. Dearborn Station was the south. Well, there used to be a giant rail yard south of the Chicago, which has now been replaced mostly by housing and empty lots there. Here, so we're over to, is this Washington? Yeah, this is Washington Street. We'll wait to cross here. So there's the South Branch of Chicago River here. We just checked it out there. Hey, people are crossing here, so it looks like we got the light here. See, that's the train yard for Ogilvy there, the head house. Hey, let's head across here. See that bells, that's a train coming into Union Station there. Here comes a Wendella boat here. We'll be able to see it we'll go underneath the Bank of America here. Randolph Street's there. We're crossing at Washington. Chicago River, South Branch, looking north here. Look at these trap doors. I'm always afraid that these trap doors are not going to hold and we'll just fall down to the river. Crime is underreported. How are you going to prove that? How are you going to prove that's underreported? Good luck with that. No, that could be true. It could be true. Crime could be unreported. All I know is Americans have a lot of anxiety. A lot of Americans are very concerned about crime no matter where they live. It's just when they see Chicago, they get really anxious because it illustrates their fears. And would this current administration want people to be fearful? More than hopeful. Every time I see JD Vance's face, I get really scared. I'm like, I just got a feeling this guy's lying to me. You know, even if he's telling the truth, it just seems like a lie. I feel icky, you know. And you might have felt that way about Biden. I understand. We're all in a world of hurt. These are just politicians, prominent stuff. And when a politician starts acting like a king, that's when you start getting nervous there. He starts to get his personal army protecting him. There we go. Here's, hey, look at this large barge here. Large barge going up the river here. Hey, come out to Bazaar Meats, get some Bazaar Meats here. My relatives that live in the country, they can give you some Bazaar Meats. We hunt squirrel, snake. They've made squirrels, snake, and rabbit. Groundhog, you can eat groundhog. If you take it to Bazaar Meats here, they'll charge you a high price for all that stuff. Bazaar Meats, probably just buffalo. It's like that old Matthew Broderick movie in the 80s when they used the Marlon Brando as the Godfather, and he they were eating the exotic endangered species there that people would pay to eat the food because it was so rare, because it was endangered species. Here we'll go by. This is Randolph Street. Peter Dish. I'll still get back to the Riverwalk. I'm just taking a shortcut under this plaza. We'll walk right back up to the Riverwalk. I'm just walking around here. So here we'll go under the big overhang here, 155 North Wacker Drive, Wacker and Randolph. Yeah, Brian Really Chicago. Hey, thank you. You know I'm going to YouTube because I'm getting away from TikTok, but I still post reruns on TikTok. But hey, thanks for watching. Yeah, this YouTube. Hey, thanks for saying hello. Hey, that's good. That's good. See, friends and neighbors there. That's good. It's YouTube. Brian Really Chicago. That's good. So, hey, thanks for saying hello there. Yeah, I got 97,000 followers on TikTok, but I'm getting away from TikTok because I don't like their new terms and conditions. I'm glad we saw healthcare should be free. He got a temporary ban for streaming at Broadview, but he's got his account back, and he was streaming himself on Michigan Avenue. So maybe it's not as bad as I feared, but so far, hey, we're finally getting traction here. We got 300, nearly 300 people here watching at lunchtime. We had 600 people, over 600, 700 people watching this morning. Ernie said when we were at Millennium Park there, we had 800 people watching. This is on YouTube. It's hard to get 800 people to watch you on TikTok. And so I consider a personal victory to thumb the nose at TikTok, and TikTok doesn't care. You think if TikTok would care of me leaving their platform, they would reach out and try to calm my fears, but no, TikTok doesn't care. They'll just find some other sap and use them. So hey, here's the Sears Tower. See, remember we walked right underneath there. That's the same Sears Tower we walked underneath there at Adams and Wacker. Now we're up here. Yeah, let's head up toward the Merchandise Mart here. We'll head straight up Franklin Street. We got people here. And hey, people at the food trucks here. Yeah, get the Mexican street food here. Taco Motor, Sweet Green. This is Franklin Street here. See some of the old commercial buildings. We'll head under the train tracks here, part of the loop. Burgers, dogs, fries, and pies. Stromboli and pasta pies. Go to Bocce Pizza there. Get to the jumbo slice. Here's Leona's Italian right here. Yeah. So we celebrated Columbus Day yesterday. Indigenous Peoples Day was yesterday. Canadian Thanksgiving was yesterday. So much going on. Look at the Fall Fest here. Richard Bennett, Custom Tailors and Shirt Makers. Check them out here. 175 North Franklin Street here. Grave. Yeah. Here, Chipotle. Shamil. Shamazel. Haas and Frost Incorporated. We're gonna do it. Here. What do we got? There's an historic building here. Let's read the plaque. Chicago Landmark, Lake Franklin Group. 1872, built right after the Chicago fire. This rare grouping of post-fire buildings is the best reminder of the wholesale district, an area intricate. Yeah, the whole along Wacker Drive, which used to be called Water Street, there were buildings that the back side of them went to the river. They would use the docks and warehouses. There used to be a lot of low-scale commercial buildings along this whole district here. You see the cast iron there, and here we're underneath the Lake Street. They got the Lake Street Bridge closed there. It's the Lake Street Bridge here at Franklin Street. We'll head right up to the Riverwalk. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I have the same question there. I think that, okay, so see, people are asking questions about the political environment in Chicago, so I have to address this. So I know people don't want to hear politics, but you can put me on mute and just watch the city here. My personal opinion is I think the president thinks that he needs the National Guard to help protect the flanks of ICE trying to do what they're doing because they're getting harassed. Well, the ICE is harassing the communities, even U.S. citizens in the areas they're trying to get the migrants out, and they've got quotas. And so they're resulting to getting the people that are easier to get instead of hardened criminals, which is always my criticism. They're getting the grandmothers working as domestics instead of the MS-13 gangs, you know. And so since the National Guard is controlled by the governors, J.B. Pritzker, it's his right as governor not to deploy the National Guard at the behest of a federal president. Even the conservative governor of Oklahoma said the same thing. And you know, so this is bipartisan. The governors, and the governor of Oklahoma said, he said Texas wouldn't like Illinois sending Illinois National Guard at the behest of Joe Biden to Texas. And I'm sure if you live in Texas, you would agree with that statement. So why would we in Illinois want to accept National Guard people from Texas? And again, because of the president, they're realizing it's going to be much more expensive and harder to round up the amount of immigrants they want to get out of this country. And when the Supreme Court says it's legal for the federal government to profile people, I'm out. Right there, I disagree with the Supreme Court's ruling. I think it's wrong. I think it's as wrong as the Dred Scott Dred Scott precedent that was set before the Civil War. I think it's a dangerous precedent for the Supreme Court to say that the federal government can profile. And why is that? Because they're worried about legal liability. There'll be a bunch of Fourth Amendment lawsuits, unwarranted search and seizures of U.S. citizens whose rights were violated by essentially government contractors. Why does ICE wear the mask? They're essentially government contractors. And the government said, we're not going to protect your identity. We might not support you in the future. And you might have to personally, these people working for ICE might have to defend themselves in court. And the U.S. government won't bail them out, even though they're doing the government's policy bidding right now. They're just doing it for the money, just like mercenaries, just like you work for BlackRock and you're a mercenary for the Iraq or Afghanistan war. Government contractors make a lot of money, but it's at the taxpayer expense. So we're paying for all this stuff. It's in the big, beautiful bill to fund these ICE agents, but that's why Chicago and Portland and Washington, D.C. Now, Washington, D.C. is different. It's a federal jurisdiction. It's not a state. So there's not a governor of Washington, D.C. That's why it's easier for them to use National Guard there. I respect the governors for standing their ground. And the reason they went to Memphis is the governor of Tennessee allowed it, unlike the other governors of different states, including Oregon and Portland, and even Los Angeles, California. There's the Brown Line heading across the Wells Street Bridge here. There's the merchandise mart. Look, they're working on windows there. They got some scaffolding. This is the Riverwalk of Chicago here. But I got people, I got an international audience. Thanks for watching outside the United States. People tell me that used to grow up in Eastern Soviet bloc behind the Iron Curtain. They said, this is the Stasi. This is the secret police. People from South America, they said, this is the Gestapo. They said, we've noticed it, in Central American countries, they would do the same thing. And it's growing fascism in America. And Europe's worried about us as our ally. I'm worried about our country slipping into fascism where people accept this as normal, because it's not. And at least I commend the governor of Illinois for taking a stand. The president of the United States called for his arrest. The president of the United States called for the arrest of Brandon Johnson, our mayor. I think that backfired. It shows you how weak he is. He could say it. It doesn't mean the law's behind him. Here's the president of the United States saying something he doesn't have no legal authority to do. And the danger is he's going to keep grabbing power until he does. And Congress, I am livid at Congress. Both Republicans and Democrats, at least we have a government shutdown. Congress is both parties are totally derelict of their duty. At least the Democrats are trying to stop. Republicans, I will never vote for a Republican congressman or senator that supported Trump the rest of my life. That's how angry I am about how I'm more angry at the senators and congresspeople in Congress on the Republican side that are just laying down. They act like they have all these conservative principles when they're just allowing. Now, if it was a opposition party, they would be going nuts. The exact same thing they're allowing this president to do shows they're hypocrites. We know they're hypocrites because they'll hold the Bible and lie to us and say they're Christian nationalists. And look at this bike that was, this bike was found in the Chicago River. Look at all the barnacles on it. They dredged it here. Here's the sidewalk. Somebody threw this stuff in the lake. It smells like it. It smells like it's been in the river for about 100 years here. I can smell the bike with all the little, let's get a close-up of that. It's got like little, these are the zebra mussels. This is the invasive species that came in on the ballast of the Laker ships after they created the St. Lawrence Seaway and ruined the ecology of the Great Lakes. We used to have smelt and other fish, but it's starting to come back. They're trying to get it back here. Hey, you're looking for the fishing spots here. Yeah, people fish along the Chicago River here.
I know. I'm gonna have
Yeah, thanks for tuning in there. Okay, so I see the question there, Al Lab. From my perspective, America is no safer or no less safe under Trump. I feel the same amount of safety I felt in the 4 years under Biden as I feel now. I'm being completely honest. Where, I'm used to people always worried about the crime in Chicago. Here, I'm the person walking around. I'm the one walking to work. Am I worried? I've been walking and talking for the last 2.5 years. I go to all neighborhoods of the city. You can check out my reruns on TikTok. I got 300 videos on the south and west side. Don't say I don't go to all areas of the city. I'm just mainly downtown and live on the north side where it's perceived safe. But you're not safe anywhere. And I actually feel less safe that there's masked people. We don't know who they are that come from outside of our. They're out here trying to round up migrants, but they're just running through intersections without stopping in the Stein. They're not beholden to the law. If they wreck into your car, who do you sue? And so, to me, ICE is causing more chaos than they're actually helping. That's my opinion, but I know you're probably going to differ, and we're expecting that. So, to me, ICE are the criminals because they're not You should be allowed to know who's taking you to jail. You should be allowed to know if it's a police officer with a badge number, and they're just government contractors, so they're not going to tell you anything because they're worried about getting sued personally for their own actions as private citizens using their own cars. They're not even using police vehicles. I don't know if they're using their own weapons or if there's an armory. Is there a U.S. armory giving weapons to ICE? We need to know this, and Christy Nome, and they'll say they're the most transparent, and then what's her name, Pam Bondi gets in front of the Congressional Review meeting. Even Republicans, she won't answer the questions of Republicans. They're not transparent at all. They're very Machiavellian, and they just went there to get zingers for their There's biased media on the left and there's biased media on the right. We know this. They just did it for social media clips. But America's bigger than any politician. We will survive. We survived the first administration. We'll get through this. Trump's not going to live forever. And J.D. Vance is a poor replacement for leading the... Who's gonna take up the charismatic leader role there? Oops, hey, here's the yeah, look at that. Here's the skeleton here. We're on the tiny tap here. Hey, adopt me. Adopt the dogs. Yeah, adopt a pup there. Yeah, Anti-Cruelty Society. Thanks for being out here. I'm on YouTube here. I'm just walking down here. Yeah, you can adopt a pet. I walk by the Anti-Cruelty up there all the time there. Yeah, look at here. Yeah, they adopt a pup here. There, the pup parade, Anti-Cruelty Society. Thank you so much for what you do here. Look at the beautiful dogs here. Yeah, she's taking pictures. Oh, how you doing there? You're so beautiful. Yeah, look at that. How you doing? Yeah, how you doing there? Adopt a pup here. Yeah. Thanks so much for being out here. We'll promote this here. Anti-Cruelty Society here in Chicago. See, Riverwalk here. Look at that. Anti-Cruelty Society out here. You could. Chris did that. Chris adopted a pup. Many people tune in here. Break the Chris would say he broke his dog out of jail. He broke Maggie out of jail. Chris, thanks for helping out the dogs there at the Anti-Cruelty Society here in Chicago, Illinois. We're on the Chicago Riverwalk. Thanks for tuning in there. Yeah. Yeah. Donald J. Trump hijacked the Republican Party. I don't think he really is a true conservative. I think he's an opportunist. And I think he's using the people that really are culturally conservative to do his bidding. And they're okay with it as long as they get a little power too. Which, to me, doesn't sound like they're very principled. Here, look at the kegs here. But I'm a wishy-washy socialist, so I'm just as bad here. Here's the Marina Towers. As somebody rightly criticized me, they're right. They said, I talk about socialism, but I film capitalism. All this, the corporate towers, the things that built this was capitalism. Developers taking the risk and making profit off of developing buildings. But this is socialism. This is the fixing of State Street, these glass-steel bridges that lift. We'll watch it tomorrow who pays for the lifting of the bridges and all the sailboats that go through there. That's socialism. The bridges, the infrastructure. When Republicans said we built this, they didn't build the infrastructure. It was socialized, and they benefit too. You know, it's all staged. It's all staged. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Nice to see you. I'm Sanders.
Awesome.
How you doing?
Good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you. You've been traveling. You've been all over the place.
Dude, I've been on for hours. Bro.
That's great.
6 hours.
That's good.
I just had a little lunch. So we're just talking about you. That's awesome.
Good, yeah.
Hubert's like he's on the Riverwalk.
Hubert's tuning in. That's good. Yeah. Nice to meet you. You've been traveling. I saw you were earlier this year. You were like by the coast there. You did like your big tour there.
2 states. Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah, dude. So
that's good.
I plan on finishing it. I want to get an RV though and finish it out.
Good. That's a good idea.
It got rough, man. It was hot. You're in Florida. It was hot.
Doing it summertime. Yeah. Oh, in Florida.
Are you on YouTube now?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. Yeah.
Is it better?
Well, I'm using Streamlabs. The YouTube app. Sometimes the resolution's bad. But I'm finally getting, I got 337 on YouTube. That's hard to do. Dude, that's hard to do on TikTok, and you're doing it.
Oh, really?
But
I'm always like around 100. I mean, it's just,
yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I still post content to TikTok. I'm not leaving TikTok. I'm just worried about the new terms and conditions. It feels like we both have to film protests and stuff. Yeah. And some of the people at Broadview, they got temporary bans, but they're back up. So. And I know, I filmed the Columbus Day Parade yesterday. You have to deal with the political comments too. It's crazy. So
well, for the first time, ever since I posted that video, that one kind of went viral from the comments. Just sort of like,
oh yeah, it's just you're going to get the whole spectrum from the right to the left.
And I just stay away. I'm just like, hey, I literally was coming down Dearborn and just like walked into it.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I found out about like a day before somebody tipped me off. I wouldn't known about it either.
Yeah, I didn't even know. It was kind of but so many people asked me about you, and I'm like, I think you went over to YouTube, so I just kind of been telling people. Yeah, you
can tell me. I stream on YouTube. I'm still on TikTok. We'll see how it goes. I'll use TikTok as my backup if I have to. Yeah, that's good. How you doing there? Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Dude, everybody knows that Brian is on here.
That's good.
And ever since day one, man, you giving me a shout out. I appreciate it.
Good. No, I'm glad we got more Chicago street speech. We cannot cover this whole city it's so vast.
100%.
And we got people on all sides of the city and you're doing it.
Yeah.
Thanks for being back. I'll run into you later. Alexander, Chicago. That's good. That's good. Hey, that's very nice. So, hey, see, we're running into our fellow live streamers here. Alexander, Chicago. Am I saying it right? And I know he changed his name. I got to make sure I got his name right. So he's updated his name. And, hey, we're under the State Street here. He was traveling around the country. He took the show on the road. I know Ernie. Man, we got the loud noise here. Ernie ran into him by the lakefront there one time. They caught the sunrise there. So there we go. Yeah, Chicago's a nice Italian community. We saw it yesterday. You can check out that rerun there. I'm still posting clips to YouTube. They'll eventually migrate to TikTok. So yeah, I'm gonna head back to work here. I appreciate everybody for being on. We'll go past the Vietnam War Memorial here. We'll be back on after 5 o'clock tonight. We'll look for more Halloween decorations. And Chicago Remembers here. India, thanks for tuning in there. Yeah, Simone and LJ Jones and Ernie, thanks for being on. Yeah, Ernie, we saw Alexander Chicago. Has he changed his name? I think he changed his name, right? I gotta say, Keys Impact did the same thing. He was Big Glacier Keys, and then he was Keys Impact, and now he's Keys Carter. And people changed their names. Ernie Chicago Nuggies. But you know that guy, Alexander Chicago there. And hopefully I said his name right there. I'm trying to keep track of everybody here. So here we'll cross Wabash. There's the Tribune and the Wrigley there. Last left turns there. Oh, couldn't make it. It tried to make the left turn and it was too late. There's the big bus. So you can take the big bus tour. Catch it here. We'll go by the Herb Cupsonet. People taking pictures here in front of the Trump Tower. Herb Cupsonet, the old sports broadcaster. He had his own. But hey, we'll wrap this up here. We got the Wrigley and the Tribune here. There's Herb Cupsonet. There he is. He's got the newspaper there. One day they'll be like, what's this folded piece of thing he's got in his arms? People actually got their news that way. There's the big bus. Okay, there's the Wrigley and the Tribune. There's the big tall Trump Tower there. And Chicago River. Man, thanks for tuning in from India. I appreciate it. So hey, we'll get up to Michigan and Wacker 105. I got to head back to work. Here's the London House. So here's the Mather Tower from the front, the London House. Hotel fills the gap, and then that's part of the London House too, the London Guarantee Building. Here's the Wrigley and the Tribune. We'll get the nice view as we go around here. But hey, thanks for tuning in our little tour walk. That was great running into Alexander's there. And we'll see what else goes on here. See, I've lost the comments. Sometimes if I go over an hour, the comments go dark there, but they'll come back here. Hey, styling there, like there's the London House. I mean, guarantee. Look at that, the 333 Michigan there. You see the nice side of the Art Deco, the London House there. And look at this amazing view you get to the Wrigley, the Tribune with the Intercontinental Hotel, the Onion Dome in the center, and people heading down to the Riverwalk, the Michigan to Sabo Bridge there. Yeah, people all take photos here. We were here this morning. Here it is. Hey, we'll see if we get the walk here. We'll head down Michigan Avenue and we'll go back to work here. Yeah, there's the Bridge House. Hey, selling the stuff there. Hey, we got the light. Let's go. There's the Marina Towers, the Corn Cow buildings. Yeah, we'll cut that out there with Alexander's there. And I saw I'll post more reruns from the Columbus Day Parade did yesterday. Halloween decorations. We already did the clip of the Mariano Park there, people dancing in the street. And we got healthcare should be free there on Michigan Avenue, promoting the October the 18th No Kings protest there. And here we'll keep going. So Michigan Avenue, Garland Court, we were here this morning. I'm heading back to the office. That's why I'm back here where I was at before. Look at this Batman alley here, Garland Court. Hey, Benny the Bull. So the Bulls will start pretty soon. The Chicago Bulls basketball team here. There's Benny the Bull there. How you doing? They had Clark up, but the Cubs lost, of course, to Milwaukee. So go Milwaukee. Hey, they got some Crimson Coward here. Go the Crimson Coward, Nashville hot chicken, egg tuck. Michigan Avenue. Boxing lessons here. Yeah. So we'll be back on after 5 o'clock tonight. We'll go back through up to Lincoln Park. And you can taunt me a second time there. There's the ping. Yeah. So we'll get to where we can cross Michigan Avenue. We'll get the nice view to the Wrigley building. We went down below this morning. I'm just tired of walking up and down stairs here. We'll cross here at Water Street, and then we'll get that nice view looking to the Wrigley building with the John Hancock. We'll end it there. Yeah, I got 10 seconds to get across. This is perfect. There's that connects back to Wacker here. This is Water Street. Here's the Carbide and Carbon there. Burnham and Daniel Burnham's sons, 1929. But here we'll cross Michigan Avenue. Look at that amazing view. Let's frame it here. Wrigley building, the John Hancock, the Tribune looking up. Michigan Avenue here, Chicago, Illinois. 60 degrees, 65 degrees. 109. I'm heading back to work here. We'll see you after 5. Thanks for being on. Thanks, mods. You guys did a great job. And nice running into Alexander there. And okay, we'll see you after 5. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.